Is going on, you guys? We are doing another edition on the channel. This is for a customer here. We are doing a 12-foot out by 24 edition. This is going to be a slab foundation, and then we're going to have a basement room because this is a walkout basement down here, and we'll do a shop door there, and then we're going to match that height for French doors coming out. Basically another room, and then with a bathroom because they don't have a bathroom on this main floor. We're going to hook it up. It's gonna be super nice. We're gonna try to match it as best we can. Today, I just came over and stripped the bottom row of siding where our concrete's gonna contact, and I cut back the sheathing to expose that, that bottom plate and then the top of the concrete. This is gonna give them a place to work off of. And then from there, obviously we'll rip this all off when it's time. But for concrete and excavation, which is supposed to happen this week, but we're a little bit delayed today because they haven't lifted the road limits. It's too muddy, apparently. In this town, it's too muddy. The other towns all set, not here. So hopefully in a couple days, we'll get the excavation going, concrete knocked out, and then we'll get right into framing. I'm gonna be doing this job primarily by myself with people here and there, probably framing, lifting the walls, setting joists and rafters, sheathing the roof, and then I am gonna have a sub do a standing seam metal roof because it's going to be a low pitch because we're coming out 12 feet and we have to hit right under those windows. So the pitch ain't going to be that great, but that's why we're doing a metal roof. It'll be acceptable. Super simple. Another house, 20 years old, no house wrap, no vapor barrier on this OSB. We're going to be doing a zip system for the exterior over here, and we'll just tie it into that. But yeah, it's craziness, man. People just don't put it in there. You don't even have to buy Tyvek. You could just buy the low stuff. It would be better than nothing. There was a deck here. Well, the homeowner removed that.
Here is the excavation beforehand. He had to install a pump in there. It was pretty darn wet. And here is after they poured the 4-foot frost walls, and then they came back after he backfilled the inside and then laid the slab on top of that.
First thing we need to do is we're trying to match the floor up with the original floor height. So we need to take all this siding off, take that old deck ledger off, and then figure out where our flooring is going to land. We're going to be doing a whole series for this build, so make sure you drop down below. It should be linked in the comments section. That way you can watch the whole build. All right, this window's got to go because our wall is going to land right here. I'm just going to put some back supports to frame this in, put some plywood over it. All right, so I have this window framed in. I'm not going to sheath it right now. What I'm going to do is I'm cutting this sheathing back, and this is where our ledger for our floor joists are going to go. And we're cutting it all the way back to the corner, and then once we get the wall framed up, we will sheath that in. All right, so scratch that. I'm gonna be framing from the other side. That way our bays line up because we need some plumbing to run right through there. And if our bays are half the size, it's gonna make it a little bit harder to work with. So we're gonna pull from the other side and we're gonna have our extra over here. The first thing I'm gonna do is frame this outside wall here. That way we have something to set our joists on. And that's the most important wall to get level because that's gonna be where the floor is sitting on. So what I did here is I just put a nail on the top, which is going to be 3/4 above the rim joist, stopping this from going up, so it's perfectly at the spot it's going to be. And then I kind of sat it here. I'm working by myself, so I sat it here on the ladder, and then I just used this with a clamp, put a 6-foot level on the top, and then basically brought it up until it was level. Piece here, I just went ahead and marked it, and that's going to be our height with our bottom plate, double top plate, and everything. That's where it's going to rest coming off of there. So that's our height. Now I'm going to take this down and start framing this outside wall. All right, so starting with this exterior wall, I got 16-foot lumber, even though it is 24, whatever. It's just what I ordered. What I'm going to do is lay out our bottom and our top plate right now, and I'm going to cut the secondary piece. We're only having one 5-foot opening here, which is going to be a roll-up door because it's going to be a shop. So I'm pulling from our left side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going back and I'm just copying it on to the other board, which is the top plate. So I have this all laid out. I need 16 studs, not including our jacks for the door. So I'm gonna go over there and cut them. I'm not gonna show you. Basically, my length is going to be the height minus 4.5 for the bottom plate, top plate, and double top plate. So let's get it. So we have our king and our jack here on either side for the door. This will be cut out when the whole build is complete, and where our boards join there will be a stud over those. So I'm going to move this out, start laying out and nailing. We're using 3-inch ring shank, obviously treated. So like I said, 3-inch ring shank treated nails. You're going to do 3 per 2x6 evenly spaced, and so if you're doing like 2x4 framing, then it would just be 2 nails on each stud. 2x6, 3.
Right here, I am just crowning my boards, making sure all the curves are in the same direction, and if one's too wonky, we'll just toss that stud and replace it with another one. Another helpful tip is when you're framing, if the area you're working on is not perfectly flat or the boards are not the exact same width, what you can do is just put your speed square on top and make sure that they are flush before you nail it. Obviously, making sure your hand is not within that nail bite range. Don't want to get shot with a nail.
All right, all the framing or the main spacing framing is done. What I'm going to do is build a header for this. We're going to be using 2x8s. We're going to be using 3 of those with 1/2-inch plywood in between, nailed together, nice and sturdy for this. Then we'll install the jack studs after. There's calculations online of what you need to build your headers out of. Some people cheap out and they only go 2 pieces of 2x material. I always do 3, no matter what. It's a whole header. A video up here of where I show you how to build a header. I'm not going to do that in this video. All right, so there's the header in, and it's locked in with these jack studs, nailed every like 12 inches about, all the way down. 3 nails with the 2x6, and This only requires one jack stud. If you go for longer lengths, obviously your header gets bigger and you eventually need to give more jacks. So 2 up to 3, 4 sometimes. So this looks nice. You can build your headers down, like directly above a window, but then above you would continue your stud pattern 16 on center. In this case, we're trying to get as much room as possible for a roll-up door, so we just went straight to the top plate, and then obviously the double top plate will be on top of that. All right, very important with zip that you're not over penetrating when you're nailing. I'm just using a coil siding nailer, and I'm running about 100 PSI in that, and it's just snugging up right to the side of it. Pretty darn nice, no blowouts, which is what we want. And over there you can see I kind of was messing around with the pattern, and either way I put it, continuing from here or going over there, starting in the corner, it was hitting on the break of our top and bottom plate. I wanted to cover that top and bottom plate and not have another siding sheet break on that same spot, so I went off the pattern. I think it'll add some structural value to it. And right now I'm just going to use a router to cut out the doorway, and then I'm going to cut off the top here. We are I went ahead and used my leaf blower to blow this all off. Let's get it. So yesterday I stopped recording. My buddy came over and he helped me lift the wall, which was super nice. I was going to use wall jacks and do it by myself, but we got that up nice and easy. It wasn't really that heavy. I did cut off the J-bolts for the concrete anchors initially because I wanted to build a wall on the ground, and we just used some wedge anchors. We got 3 on each side, so that should be plenty plenty of hold. They're 1/2 inch by like 5 inches deep. It's gonna be super nice. We went ahead and put the foam on the bottom of here and got it all lined up. We got it plumbed up, and I think I'm gonna build these walls in place. So just stick build them one at a time instead of trying to stand a wall up right here. With the sheathing here, it's just gonna be easier. All right, so I just test fit this bottom plate. What I'm gonna do is install this air barrier on the bottom of this. I'm just gonna staple it on, flip it over, should be all set. So when you're working by yourself, clamps and nails or screws, you can hold things, pull things, rest one side on a nail or a clamp, and then get the other side, come back, and it'll be almost exact spot where you need it. So make sure you use these if you're doing it by yourself. So I laid my studs out up top. I should have done it before I put it up there, but it slipped past me. So we have those all marked out. I'm gonna go cut my studs and we'll come back and toe nail those in. On the top, obviously, we'll just nail through the top. Over here, I'm going to be adding the double top plate. This is going to come all the way from the original wall off of this short wall and extending onto the long end wall, and it's going to lock it in over like this, and it's not going anywhere. So I'll show you once I get it up there. All right, so here's the double top plate. Sturdies it up quite a bit, especially if you're going to have like weight land on here. Two 2x4s or 2x6s are way stronger than one. And then over here, this is the overlapping portion that I was talking about. This is locking it in, it's holding it together, as well as all the screws there, but it's just a redundancy that's going to give you strength in your building. All right, so before I move on to the other side, I'm going to sheath it all at once, these two ends. I'm going to show you how I'm putting these wedge anchors in. I'm going to put 3 on this wall. I have plenty of them. 2 would probably suffice, but we'll do 3. So we're going to drill it with a regular drill, and then we'll use our SDS with a 1/2 inch and get that in there, and then use our air hose to blow it out. It's super simple. All right, guys, that is it. Super simple. Doing it a couple more times. Right now, I'm just gonna take these braces off on the either end since the walls are braced, and then I'll put the top plate on the far wall.